Ding.
Ding.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joe Ferzoco.
I'm Chris Ferzoco, and today, in this video, we're going to actually be discussing, as normal, market statistics, but we're going to be taking a look at actually June versus May here in 2025 and seeing what those trends are looking like.
Absolutely, Chris. And if you like what you hear, like what we're saying, please subscribe below, tap that bell for instant notifications, and hit that like button. You'll be the first to get the most up-to-date market information, happenings, trends, things that are going down here at the shore, whether it's the rodeo, whether it's, the country music festival down in the Wildwoods, the Jeep invasion, you name it, parades, lightings, and as the holiday season comes around, things of that nature. You'll be the first to get the most up-to-date information down here at the Jersey Shore. Our Jersey Shore, Ventnor Market, Longport, Ocean City, Summers Point, Strathmere, Sea Isle, Avalon, Stone Harbor, Wildwood, North Wildwood, Wildwood Crest, West Wildwood, Diamond Beach, Cape May, North Cape May, Cape May Courthouse, and Upper Township. So today, Chris, we are going to be looking at market statistics, June 2025 versus May 2025. Talk about it.
Yeah, so market statistics show not barbecues, not Jeeps, and not rodeos. We're going to talk stats. Sorry, not to bore you. But we're going to be looking at those statistics because what we want to look at, folks, is all real estate. So we're talking single-family homes, townhouses, condos, duplexes, multifamilies, land, commercial. It doesn't matter. Efficiencies, penthouses, all the above, right? So if it's for sale, been on the MLS, it's included in our market statistics because we want you to know exactly what the numbers are looking like here at the shore. If you have a more specific inquiry, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. But today, looking at overall numbers, I'm going to take a look at Ocean City, where I normally like to start, because that's always at the top of my page. And we're going to take a look at the overall value there. So in June versus May, we actually had a 17% increase.
Okay.
That's right. In a changing market, we had a 17% increase. We went from 1.3 up to 1.55 here in Ocean City. The overall number of properties that sold, actually we had almost a 9% decrease in the number of properties that sold, 68 down to 62. So the 9%, it is a big number. The overall number is 68 to 62. Not so much, but we just want to keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
And then we look at the number of homes that came on the market, Joe. This was the most concerning number for me for Ocean City. It dropped 24%. So in the month of May, we had 137. We only had 104 come on the market in the month of June.
Okay.
That's a little concerning when you start seeing the fact of the matter is, you start seeing that number drop on the actives. We want to be seeing that number increase so there's more inventory, not decrease.
Right.
Okay, so there's a less supply, and we're still seeing a fairly consistent demand here. The overall sale price to list price actually had increased. It went up to 97.5% from 95.5%. And the days on market that we're starting to include in this was virtually the same. In the month of June, it was 55 days. In the month of May, Joe, it was only 50 days. Okay. So not much of a change there in Ocean City. Very consistent. Couple up arrows, couple of down arrows. So we're going to be watching that. Yeah. Now, jumping down into Sea Isle City. Kind of the same thing, right? So we actually had a decrease in value here in Sea Isle City. We went from 1.6 down to 1.295. That equated to a 19% drop. That's a pretty big number. Yeah. Okay. Now, for Sea Isle, there's a lot of construction going on there, so it could be that we didn't have a lot of new constructions actually selling to drive those values up. Okay. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. Might be a video to talk about like how much new construction is out there at this time. Are we seeing a decrease and whatnot? But that's a topic for another day. Okay. Moving into the number of properties that actually had sold, so we actually had a 30% increase. We actually went from 10 to 13. Woohoo! Right? So not a lot of properties. I mean, that's what, one every 3 days we had a property sell in the month of June. Sure. Okay. And then you look at the number of properties that came on the market. We actually had we had 12 come on versus 6 in the month of May. So we actually, not a huge increase in the overall number, but it was a big jump in regards to how many actually came on the market when you look at that for a 100% jump, right? Now, you look at the overall list price to sale price, we actually had a decrease there from 97 down to 95%. So you always like to point this out. Not only were you starting at a lower number, you were actually getting less of what you were asking for as well in the month of June. So that's something to really pay attention to here in Sea Isle. And the days on market actually jumped significantly. It went from 97 days up to 137 days. So longer the homes sit on the market, that's going to obviously fall into the number of properties selling, and you're seeing those numbers start to actually decrease, right?
On your month-to-month basis.
It's stretching it out longer.
Yeah, absolutely, sure is. And then you also start to see, as we talked about when we did our semi-annual, was the amount of price adjustments you're seeing. If the days on market start to increase and whatnot, depending on which month you're sitting at. So jumping down into North Wildwood, so when you're looking at June versus May, you had an average sale price dropped, big drop, 55% decrease in your average sale price for North Wildwood in the Anglesey section. It was only $394,000 in the month of June. So again, something as you always say, we'll kind of keep an eye on that. Was just a lot of efficiency, one-bedroom condos that sold in the area, so we didn't see any of those big splash numbers to drive the property values up. Instead, lower ones, which really drove it down. It was 860,000 in May as opposed to 394 in June. So we'll keep an eye on that. Number of properties sold, we had about 11% decrease. We only had 25 transactions in North Wildwood in the month of June. And the number of properties that came on the market had a little bit of a jump there, 25% increase. We had 42 properties come on the market in the month of June. Of course, your days on market, that also dropped as well. We only had 66 days on market in the month of June as opposed to 104 in May. So that's a pretty good drop. I mean, that's a whole month less different there when it comes to your days on market. As far as the Wildwoods, we had a 19% increase in Wildwood, and your average sale price jumped up to $611,000 for the month of June. Number of properties that closed, we had a 31% decrease, only 14 transactions in the month of June for Wildwood. So it's almost like every other day you were seeing a transaction for Wildwood itself. The number of properties that came on the market, that was also a decrease, 15% decrease. 24 properties coming on the market in Wildwood in the month of June. Your average days on market, that also spiked. Went from 68 in May to 117 in June. So, your average sale price, that jumped up, but then inventory, transactions, days on market, they all went in the upward direction. So we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that.
For sure.
Wildwood Crest, big difference in your average sale price, a 56% increase to $1.43 million in the month of June. So probably had some really good properties, obviously, selling in the Crest in the month of June as opposed to 643 in May. But the number of properties that closed, we only had 8 transactions. So only 8 deals in the month of June. The number of properties came on the market, we had a 43% decrease, almost a 50% drop. Only had 12 properties come on the market in all of Wildwood Crest in the month of June. Your days on market, that also spiked too. It went from 86 in May to 143. So again, a whole nother month plus longer properties are sitting on the market in the month of June as opposed to May. So, as we talk about, as those things start to stretch out, you have to start to take some action here. Properties are sitting, they're not getting any activity. And of course, the one thing that a seller never wants to hear, they never want the question to be asked is, well, what's wrong with my property? Because as the property sits, the buyer's going to say, hey, I see it's been on the market 50 days. What's wrong with it? And it could be nothing. That's just where the market is right now, and what are the actions you're going to take when it comes to, as always, your price. Sea Point Village, Diamond Beach had a little percent, 3% increase in your sale price. $746,000 was your average sale price in June. Number of properties that closed, we had 5 transactions in June. We had 5 transactions in May. Only had one property come on the market in the month of June in Sea Point Village and the Diamond Beach area. Your days on market also dropped from 79 to 59. So again, real quick, listing and selling for those 5 transactions that did. We only had one property though in the month of June come on the market. And finally in Cape May, we had a 36% drop in your average sale price. It was actually the first time, Chris, and I'd say in about 2.5 years, the average sale price in a month was below $1 million, $901,000 in the month of June. Number of properties that closed, we had 8 transactions in June, same as the month of May. 12 properties came on the market in the month of June, same as the month of May. And your days on market, that did drop to 45 as opposed to 67. And your list price to sale price pretty much stayed the same too at 95 list price to sale price percent. Okay. You're going to jump offshore a little bit, I think.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to get into the primary home market here. Looking at Upper Township, we actually did see an 8.5% drop in the overall value there. Actually went from 582 down to 532. So 8.5% decrease in the overall values there. And the number of properties that actually sold actually had a 33% increase. We actually jumped up 4 properties. We had 12 sell the previous month, 16 in this month here of June. Okay. And then the number of properties that came on the market, this was interesting. We actually had a 20% drop. I actually would have thought that number would have been the other way, but we went from 29 down to 23 properties actually coming on the market. And then you look at the overall list price to sale price, actually virtually the same. It's actually sitting right around 99%. Take that back, it actually dropped down to 97.5%, but the days on market was the exact same. Sitting at 31 days on market month over month there in Upper Township. So again, some downward trends there that was a little surprising, but nothing overly significant. Everything's still at 8.5% or something,
Sure.
somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
When you look at Summers Point, you actually had a 12% decrease in the month of June from May. You actually went from 552 to 485. Okay, and then when you look at the number of properties that actually had sold, we actually had a large decrease. We actually dropped 30%. We actually went all the way down to 12 properties from 17 the month before. So that's a pretty significant increase for a given month to only have 12 properties in the primary home market there, heading into summer to actually close. Yeah, to actually sell.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the number of properties that came on the market, again, 33% decrease. We went from 30 down to 20. So, you virtually only had, 1.5 home come on the market for what had sold the previous month. So again, that's not a lot of inventory. That's just not, even if it was 60 versus 50, it's like, okay, well, at least we're getting 60 new homes.
Sure.
There's not a lot of new choices.
Yeah.
When you start talking, there's only 20 new properties on the market. List price to sale price, virtually the same at about 98%. And days on market actually jumped up from 24 days in May all the way up to 44 days in June. So,
okay.
yeah, the primary home market there was had a few more down arrows, Joe, than I would have liked to have seen. That.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Like, I know down in the southern half of the county, there was definitely some more downward arrows than up. Well, again, as we do month to month, quarter to quarter, year to year, we keep an eye on it. That's for sure. Skipping into North Cape May, so you had a 25% increase in your average sale price in the month of June, jumped up to $638,000. The number of properties that sold was pretty identical to the month of May. We had 6 transactions in June, 6 transactions in the month of May. We had a 75% increase in the amount of properties that hit the market. They jumped up to 20 in the month of June. So not too bad there from a standpoint of the number of properties that actually listed for sale. Your days on market, almost identical, 84, 82 in the month of June compared to May. And of course, your list price to sale price, that was sitting right around 99%. So as we pointed out in a couple other towns, not only did you have a 25% increase in your average sale price, you also now had a 99% list price to sale price. You started about $200-something thousand, $150,000 higher, and you got more money for it as well. So good in North Cape May for the month of June. Cape May Courthouse, you actually had a little bit of a 5% decrease in your average sale price. It was $20,000. The month of June was $405,000. The month of May was $425,000. We had a 24% decrease in the number of transactions in Cape May Courthouse in June. It was only 10 total transactions, and the number of properties that came on the market, pretty much the same, 28, 29 for May and June. And your days on market was identical, 79 for both months there. So that kind of wraps that up for the month of June versus the month of May here in 2025. Chris, any last thoughts there for these market stats?
Yeah, well, I think there's a few that I think that are worth mentioning. I think you're really not seeing the days on market here really increase like you might be hearing about in other markets. So we're not really seeing that yet. Most of them are either about the same or there may have been a little bit of a bump, but there's nothing where all of a sudden 225 days sitting on the market, 180 days. Like, we're not in those days yet.
Yep.
But I do feel that there's a few trends, Joe, that we're starting to see out there. You're not seeing the inventory levels jump up. You pointed it out in another video, but we are seeing more and more price adjustments.
Yeah.
So you're seeing here too, in some areas, that the values had come down. So look, it's really going to be one of those things where we're trying to figure out where the market's going here. What's the trend going to be? What's the overall tell? I just think right now we're trying to see things in a more smaller window.
Yeah.
And say, okay, this is what we had month to month, and it was like, okay, is this percent, this number, this number? How does that look going in through July, and following it from there? So it's interesting. It's interesting times. But again, folks, I mean, we go back, and if you listen to the video, think of the numbers that we're talking about here. When you look at the overall values of these properties, the days on market, they're still selling fairly quickly. We don't have large inventory, and we're still seeing properties sell every single day, or virtually every other day in some cases. But and you're still seeing property values that are really significant here. So it's still a great time to be selling and or buying.
I would say 100%, Chris, on that. It is still a great time to be buying or selling. And I think to take that even one step further, when you're talking about looking at you're trying to look at a microcosm of 30 days. Well, we can even take that even further. If you're looking to sell a property, you reach out to Chris or myself, someone here at the team, call, text, shoot us an email, and we can drill it down even further to your type of property. What's selling in your neighborhood? What did your next door neighbor or someone in your complex, what did they recently sell for? What features and benefits do you have in your property?
sure.
What's going to make yours unique compared to somebody else's, or not unique compared to somebody else's? So maybe your price point is a little bit different compared to somebody else in your complex, or someone that sold 2 streets down from you. Sitting down, going through a comparative market analysis with Chris or myself to really get an understanding of where your property price needs to be could be totally different than we talk about an overall market statistic for the town that you live in. Same thing goes for buying a property. You reach out to someone on the team at the Ferzoco group, and now all of a sudden, we'll look at comparables and things like that as far as what you should be offering in, when you're sitting down looking to purchase a property down here at our Jersey Shore. So just a couple things to always think about. And as always, feel free, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. It'll be our pleasure to help you with all of your real estate needs, whether it's this month, next month, 6 months, a year from now. Just reach out, give us a call. We can certainly help you out with all of your real estate needs down here at the Jersey Shore. So for now, he's Chris, I'm Joe. We'll see you at the beach.